This episode of the Cult Popture podcast was brought to you by our Patreon. If you want to tell us which films we should watch, get up to 2 extra exclusive podcasts a month, give us something to talk about in the post-credit scenes at the end of each episode, or even contribute to the discussion in the episode itself, then please consider joining the cult and donating at www.patreon.com/cultpopture. Welcome, everybody,
to the
Hello?
wild, wild west.
It's good to see you all again.
I made that joke last week too.
Welcome to the Cult Popture podcast, where you're joined by your hosts, AJ, myself, Richard himself, and Jeremy himself.
Oh,
Is Jeremy frozen or is he standing? No, he is frozen.
I'm not enjoying
Hilarious.
Microsoft PowerPoint, and now is not the time to ask me. Thank you very much.
Didn't this happen last time? You got asked about Outlook?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like every time I go to record a podcast, it's like they're like, "Ooh, we could get mentioned on a world famous podcast." Let's throw them up a notification.
So this is part 2 of our sort of year in anticipation, running down all the films that are coming out in 2022, or a select list of the films coming out in 2022. Where
Richard,
we talk about our
sorry,
most
just to correct you
anticipated.
there. No, it's called The
And
Dumbest. It's The Dumbest. The dumbest looking.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I think it's clear that I was building to that.
I feel like you should just say the name rather than just saying what should be the name. Say the dumb.
So
say
that was
the dumb name.
the sort of juxtaposition between the two is what I was going for there.
Okay.
I was going to hilariously reveal at the end that that's why this episode is called The Dumbest Looking Films of 2022 Part 2. A lot
Start
of twos.
podcast again.
Too
many twos.
We're not too many twos. We're not gelling like we normally are.
No, it's fine.
So where we last left off, we just finished the films of May. So if you want to see January to May, check out our last podcast on this. But there's actually one more film which was revealed to be coming out in May this week, and AJ, you specifically wanted to talk about this, and that is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. So this is sort of a reboot of the IP of Chip and Dale, the two chipmunks, owned by Disney, and they're voiced by John Mulaney and Adam Sandberg, and Andy Samberg.
I was going to say, isn't it Andy? But I feel like I would get that wrong all the time, and then I'd correct you, and you'd be like, "No, it's Adam Sandberg."
Chip, 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 and Dale. Rescue Rangers, chip, 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 and Dale.
I was hoping you'd do this.
They're going very
very
meta with it, and so it's all about it's Chip and Dale, the actors who 30 years ago had a successful television show, and now one of them's had CGI surgery, so it's a live action animated hybrid, but one of the characters is like CG and one of them is 2D animated. And I think this looks great. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I think that. Did you see the trailer for this, Jeremy?
No.
Right, so it's essentially unabashedly Who Framed Roger Rabbit style, like to the point where Roger Rabbit's in the trailer because they live in the cartoon human live action world.
Oh right,
cartoons from all over, and I'm of two minds about it. I think the idea of doing this as a concept for a movie is great. I think the idea of cartoons being able to get CGI surgery is hilarious and such a great like kickoff point for this movie. What I think I'm combating that with is part of me wishes it wasn't Chip and Dale. Part of me wishes it was like an analog for Chip and Dale, and they were original characters that had a Saturday morning cartoon in the 90s.
I didn't realize you were so close to the IP of Chip and Dale.
No, it's not that I'm not, but it's more that I think that while 10 years ago, if this had come out 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh, cool, it's the Who Framed Roger Rabbit-esque follow-up that I've been looking for years. But after Ready Player One and Space Jam 2
Great
and
movies.
This and that, yeah, right, exactly. I'm not sure how tolerant I am of what I'm calling the IP flex movie now, which is where you throw all the properties you own into one movie and act like that's something to celebrate and not a terrifying
this one
sign of
does
dystopia.
appear to be more self-aware about that.
Agreed.
Whereas, like, Ready Player One and Space Jam 2 specifically are like, look how cool Warner Brothers is. Whereas this looks a little bit more like, look how corporate Disney has become.
I hope so, and I'm
with
hoping
being directed by
good.
Akiva Schaffer from The Lonely Island, and it's like The Lonely Island presents.
Cautiously optimistic.
What's really interesting is that it feels to me the casting of Andy Samberg and John Mulaney, it's almost like it feels like a sort of second rung Ryan Reynolds movie. You know, like this whole vibe is very much what Ryan Reynolds would do with this kind
Free
of film.
Guy.
Well, but it's some Detective Pikachu, right? Like it's that kind of take on a cartoon IP spin-off. You can't just do a straight cartoon, let's do a new version of Chip and Dale. You do let's do a version of Chip and Dale that's a massive wink to the adult audience and really is more for adults than it is for kids.
I kind of prefer that to just a Chip and Dale reboot, though.
Yeah, so that's coming straight to Disney Plus at the end of May.
It's a very appropriate
so,
place for it.
Next, we're going to skip back to March.
Whoa!
Jeremy, you were furious to see that The Lost City wasn't on our list.
We lost it.
I've marked it as one of your most anticipated.
Yeah,
I think mark it as mine. It looks funny.
We all this is the crazy thing. We all talked about it before we recorded the first podcast, and then and then afterwards I was like, "Hey, we didn't talk about that on the pod, at least." This movie, to be fair, I think. Oh, so a short description. Basically, it's Sandra Bullock is a romance writer. Channing Tatum plays the cover model for her romance books, and she writes her latest novel is called The Lost City, something like that. Finding Lost City.
The Lost City of D, which is the name of the book it's based on.
Oh yes, because on the play on Lost City of Z and then D, Dick. Anyway,
Dick, exactly.
So
you got it.
She's on. Thanks, man. She goes on the promo tour for the book, but ends up sort of actually falling into the real life adventure of the Lost City, and end up on the trail of an adventure with Channing Tatum, who proves to be utterly useless, and it is hilarious. Daniel Radcliffe is the antagonist, and Brad Pitt turns up as the real deal Indiana Jones guy, and it just. It's a C-grade concept that has a massive A-list cast, and I think they're elevating it, and I think it makes it something I'm actually looking forward to see.
It's like a hyper version of Romancing the Stone.
Yeah.
Like if Romancing the Stone characters were a little more silly. And yeah, I mean, an original film with fun actors, I think it could be really cool, it could be really good. Could also just absolutely suck eggs. Who knows? We'll see when it comes out, I think.
As a producer, Sandra Bullock is actually pretty good. She really doesn't preside over crap, and so I would be surprised if this is crap.
Here's a list of the films she has produced. Gunshy, Miss Congeniality, 2 Weeks Notice, Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous, All About Steve, The Unforgivable, and The Lost City.
Didn't she win a Razzie for All About Steve?
I don't even know what that movie was.
Yeah, won 2 Razzies.
That was the year she won Best Actress and Best and Worst Actress at the Razzies.
That's awesome.
And it was a big deal.
I mean, that happens quite regularly. It happened to Halle Berry. It happened to Charlize Theron.
Did it happen in the same year?
Yeah.
I don't care enough about the Razzies. I don't want to talk
Halle
about
Berry. Halle Berry won for Monsters Ball and then won the Razzie for Catwoman. Charlize Theron won for whatever she won. She won the Oscar. Monster and Monsters Ball. And then she won, I think she won Razzie for Aeon Flux as well.
Yeah.
So another film we've sort of actually just gotten our first look at, we're now leapfrogging back to June, Jurassic World Dominion. And AJ and I cautiously haven't put this as our one of our most anticipated, but Jeremy, you have. Did you watch the trailer?
I did watch the trailer.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was a long trailer.
a lot of B story in this trailer.
Yeah, I was just like, it's really interesting. I think I'm just anticipating it because I want to see how they attempt to do what they're trying to do. Basically bringing two full casts of people from different movies and trying to make them all the lead actors in the last film. It's just like, wait, hold on. You've got Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, and Laura Dern. And then you've got the full cast with what's his face?
Chris Pratt.
And you're trying to mash them all together, and it's like, how's this going to work? And also, there's just too many dinosaurs. They're just everywhere.
That's what they should call it. Jurassic Park. Too many dinosaurs.
It reminds me of how when Rise of Skywalker came out, how for some reason a big part of the marketing push was like, it's not just the end to the sequel trilogy, but the end to the entire Skywalker saga, and acting like everyone needed it to be that, even though just end one trilogy. I don't need this to be the culmination of 9 films. I actually never asked for it to be. And in the same way, by including the Jurassic Park cast, this feels like it's not only the conclusion to the Jurassic Park cast, but the culmination of the entire Jurassic saga, and that troubles me. However, I'm not made of stone, and seeing Sam Neill as Alan Grant back on screen was like, hell yeah, cool. And
it is funny. It does actually. The trailer explicitly says, witness the epic conclusion to the Jurassic saga. So, it's not like they're not hinting at it. They tell you that's what it's going to be.
Because it went so well last time.
There's that moment where the 3 originals with Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern and Sam Neill are all and it's fully like a Chewie, we're home.
Yeah, moment. There's the moment where she's like Alan Grant and he's like Ellie Sattler, and it's like you can just say Alan and Ellie. I didn't need their full names.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like the problem with bringing back these real actors into this movie, and these real beloved actors from the best movie that was the first one but still has not been beaten, is that you basically...
It's just the best movie.
You just bring the dignity and excellence of all those 3, and then you invite a comparison with everything, and you're like, no.
Because as cool as I do think the trailer looks cool, I don't think it necessarily looks good, but I think it looks cool. But as cool as that is, do you guys get the feeling when the original was this relatively, in comparison to the last one, very grounded, very character focused, and you kind of got the impression this will be the most incredible thing that will ever happen to these people, right? And then you have all the stops pulled out for the 6th film in the saga, and I had this feeling when watching No Time to Die. As good as No Time to Die was, I was kind of saddened by
How does
remembering
James Bond
Casino
keep
Royale.
getting into these situations?
Well, just remembering Casino Royale and how grounded that is, and now we're dealing with something a lot more ridiculous in his final film. I think that what is interesting about Jurassic World Dominion, or what looks interesting about it, is it took them wasting 2 movies to get to this concept, which they clearly wanted to do by at least the 2nd one.
Because they called it Jurassic World.
Because they called it Jurassic World, and obviously a interesting way to adapt the idea is to go, what if dinosaurs broke out into the real world? And I think I wouldn't be surprised if when the Jurassic World saga was being pitched, I wouldn't be surprised if the original idea was Dominion, and then someone was like, no, what we need to do is reintroduce everyone to Jurassic Park again, so let's do a requel, a basic remake of the first film, and then for whatever reason they couldn't do Jurassic World Dominion for the 2nd film. I genuinely think that they've been just holding on and wasting millions and millions of dollars so that they can make this film,
but also making billions of dollars.
Yeah. Jurassic World was the
You're
second
right.
highest grossing film of all time for a moment.
That's
I think.
What's really interesting, though, is that they've basically just gone full Planet of the Apes with this, right? It's just I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of this film, the solution is for them to find the original Jurassic World and Jurassic Park and like close all the humans left inside of it and keep all the dinosaurs out of the park.
That's very Asimovian, Jeremy. I think that's a very dark ending, and I think would be really cool. But I
think you're being a bit too Asimovian there, Jeremy.
I don't think that this will have that kind of ending. I think this will have a happy ending somehow.
But how do you have a happy ending unless there's
I agree. It's illogical, but it's a Hollywood
unless
blockbuster,
there's like a chip built into every like dinosaur's head that they're like, oh, we just need to turn this dial, and then all the chips will explode and kill all the dinosaurs.
See, that's you're thinking of Suicide Squad. That's very Aryan. Oh, that's already a word. I was trying to be like David Ayer.
Very Aryan. Oh my god.
So, there's actually 4 movies in a row here that we've just gotten the trailer for since we last recorded. Because you got Jurassic World Dominion Lightyear. We got a new trailer for that. AJ, you've marked that as most anticipated.
Yeah, so this is the and listen closely, everybody, because we need to get this message out there. It is the movie that inspired the toy that it is in Toy Story. So presumably Andy from Toy Story saw Lightyear. Went to go see Lightyear, and the Buzz Lightyear doll is a merchandise for this film.
Yeah,
which is confusing. Well, not confusing. It's just a lot of canon to try and get out there, I think, when they're obviously not going to make time for it in the movie itself because, you know. So...
Yeah, we got sort of a longer trailer. Some more cast were announced. Kiki Palmer, Taika Waititi, Uzo Aduba, James Brolin, Efren Ramirez, Isaiah Whitlock Jr. They've said Zurg is going to appear in the film. I'm assuming that'll be James Brolin's character because he's on the Wikipedia page. He's the only one that doesn't have a character next to it. And I feel like, it'd be a Pixar thing to be like, make Thanos' dad Zurg.
Is that who James Brolin is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is a very interesting idea, and as I said with Turning Red, I'm down for Pixar, whatever it may be. I think this is very strange, and it kind of has... this is the kind of idea a company comes up with when they're at the bottom of the barrel,
yes.
I think, which is concerning.
Yeah, so when this was first announced, it was that Disney Plus like investors meeting they did where it was like they announced like a bunch of shit, and they announced Turning Red, that they're Win or Lose. They've got an original series coming up, and and featured Luca as well. And then they said like, this last one, really excited to show you, and I was kind of like, they don't really have any IPs that they have remaining to do a sequel to. Like they're not going to do Finding Marlin or
not yet anyway. God, you got to wait 20 years, so they have to find a new child voice actor to play Nemo.
And it's like, yeah, maybe you could do Incredibles 3 or like, but it did feel like, yeah, they're not going to, there's nothing else they can announce that I'm good. And then they're like, we're making Lightyear, and it was like, what? Yeah, it's such an interesting way to continue the franchise.
And they already did it.
Yeah.
They already, after Toy Story 2, or as a tie-in to Toy Story 2, they made an animated Buzz Lightyear of Star Command show, which was supposed to be this exact thing. It was supposed to be, this is the cartoon that the toy is merchandise for. And there was a brief time, Richard, where I thought we'd both agreed that we were going to do the pilot of this Buzz Lightyear of Star Command as an episode of Film Franchise Follow-Ups on Patreon. I watched the whole thing, thought it was pretty good, and then you were like, nah, I'm not watching it.
Which sounds very funny and like I'm being a dick, but it's happened multiple times the other way around. So yeah, I've read half the Back to the Future comics, which took significantly longer than Buzz Lightyear.
It did take significantly longer, which is why I told you I can't do this.
Yeah, midway through after we'd both agreed to it. Anyhow, Jeremy,
what do you think? Who's in the wrong here?
Oh my god. Okay, I'm just not going to say it.
No, say it.
I just feel like this is the last squeeze of the IP sponge. Like it's,
of Toy Story.
Yeah, it's just and like I'm not. I think that Buzz Lightyear is probably the least interesting character to be on his own without the rest of the Toy Story gang around him. I'm not actually interested in an origin story or any kind, like it just didn't look that much fun. Like watching the trailer, I was just like,
that's the weird thing. It doesn't look like a comedy.
Like, if they just released this as a Pixar movie and there had never been a Toy Story and we didn't know Buzz Lightyear as a character and it was a new Pixar, like, would any of us think, oh, this looks good?
I reckon I wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
I reckon it would go under my radar almost.
Yeah.
Or be like something akin to something like Ron's Gone Wrong, a movie from last year that I was like, I have no idea what this is and didn't see. All I will say though is I think Chris Evans does a pretty good voice emulation of like if that's what the actor sounded like, Tim Allen's Buzz Lightyear makes like it's essentially Chris Evans doing halfway between his own voice and Tim Allen's voice. And I think good that's a good decision to make. I think.
Also in June we have Nope. So this is Jordan Peele's new film. Again, we just got the trailer for it. It's about members of an isolated town who witness a mysterious and abnormal event. The trailer features wind blowing towards the sky, and the sort of imagery of the film is what looks like a UFO made of clouds with a banner sort of dangling, some bunting.
Looks like a kite.
Yeah.
Like a kite tail.
Yeah. So yeah, it stars Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and Steven Yeun, who wears a cowboy hat, which looks very fun. Jesse Plemons turned down a role in this. Fun fact, to star in Killers of the Flower Moon instead. And yeah, I mean, it looks good. Like in sort of Jordan Peele fashion, we don't know a lot about it. I'm hoping it's more Get Out than Us.
Yes.
One interesting thing though is that I just noticed the cast. It also stars Terry Notary, who only really does like motion capture performance. He's Carl Obsidian in the Infinity War and Endgame. He was King Kong in Kong Skull Island. He's in the Planet of the Apes movies, and so he kind of just does these sort of roles. So it's presumably we're gonna see some kind of alien or otherworldly being played in mocap by Terry Notary.
Nice catch.
After watching the trailer, I'm very like, no idea. Like, I think I saw a cloud with a kite tail, but is that the monster? Is that what I'm supposed to be seeing?
Yeah, it's on the poster as well. But
exactly.
Also, the Nope, potentially, does that stand for Not of Planet Earth?
Oh my God.
I mean, I'd be impressed, Richard, but I also think that you've just been reading like a Reddit thread on theories.
Well, the Terry Notary thing was my own observation.
That's what I'm impressed by. That's really good.
The Not of Planet Earth thing, that was the top comment on the trailer.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
But yeah, please
the trailer,
send your fan mail to me for noticing the Terry Notary thing.
Yeah, thank you. Watching the trailer, I was just like, yeah, Jordan Peele is just such a master of creating a mood. Like visually, like just doing new stuff. Like he doesn't ever rely on existing kind of like tropes or existing visual motifs. He creates his own. Like the golden scissors for Us was amazing. Like, you know, it's just stuff that like, you know, the boiler suits and the golden scissors, like what is that and what does it relate to? We don't know. And it is really interesting. Like whereas most filmmakers kind of borrow from the visual library of like pop culture and film culture. But like even having a whole landscape that's just covered with those like car yard blown up men and then having them all kind of go like I've never seen anything like that. Like I don't know what he's doing there, and it's super exciting. And the fact that he's the kind of filmmaker that can create those sorts of images that give you no clue as to what's happening but get you excited. It's pretty cool. Now the problem is that he did that with Us, and I got really excited. And then the actual film, I was
movie
just like,
came out.
Okay, so you didn't actually properly explain what any of those things were really about. So
So the problem with
I
Us
thought he over-explained
is that he
it
over-explained it.
well,
I
but
think Us could have been a bit more subtle.
but I think that it was over-explained, but what it was didn't end up being satisfying.
Well, my thing with Us is that he's asked 50 questions in the film and then answered 25 of them. And then, so that makes you go, well, what about the other 25? I would have preferred he answered 0 because it's like, I've got 50 questions, you know? But because he started explaining them and it was like, and gave these long-winded explanations, it made it made you pick holes in the logic because he tried to make the logic airtight.
It's like A Quiet Place, how like as soon as you go home, you start thinking about the logistics of what is probably supposed to be more of a parable than a literal story.
Yeah, but the problem with Us is that you started thinking about that while you were sitting in the movie because it wasn't like, whereas A Quiet Place was successful at getting you emotionally engaged, whereas I think Us was trying to be a bit too cerebral.
Yeah.
And Get Out had that emotional draw and the emotional connection that totally worked.
Yeah, I do still quite like Us. Get Out is obviously better, but my main question here is what social issue will be at the core of Nope? Because Get Out was, of course, sort of casual racism, and Us was classism. It's like taking a social issue and turning that into a horror. I wonder what Nope will be.
I don't know why you have to make everything political.
That's true. You're right.
Jordan Peele, famously an apolitical filmmaker. So also in June, we kind of got our first proper look at this week. Elvis, Baz Luhrmann's new film with Austin Butler, is it? As Elvis, and Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker. I mean, you guys excited for this?
I watched the trailer. I don't know if I'll see the film. It depends how good the reviews are. I don't know.
It's been a while
It
since
didn't blow me away.
Baz Luhrmann's made anything.
It's been even longer since Baz Luhrmann's made anything watchable.
Oh!
No, but really, like, I mean, Baz Luhrmann is it's really interesting when a director does not even arguably, just definitely their best work in their first like 2 or 3 films. And then everyone gets excited about them having even bigger budgets and kind of even more pull to tell the stories they want to tell. Peter Jackson. And
possibly Jordan Peele as well.
Throw a dart at a dartboard, Jeremy, and hit any director.
Honestly.
Not just Peter Jackson.
You know, you keep waiting for Baz Luhrmann to kind of match the sort of energy and genius that he had with like Romeo and Juliet and Moulin Rouge and Australia, the Great Gatsby. His storytelling is so bloated now, and it's so full of like visual artifice. It's just like anyway.
Has he done anything between Great Gatsby and Elvis?
Last film.
No.
Oh wow, that was ages ago. God, that was so long ago.
Yeah,
I feel like that came out 30 years ago.
Well, I actually legitimately think Jeremy and I saw Great Gatsby together while he was still living in Christchurch, which means that was a long time ago, is my point.
I thought Great Gatsby was 2018, but no.
No, definitely
really? Wow, he really... Oh, yeah, anyway. Because Moulin Rouge went to Broadway as well. I don't know how much of a hand he had in that, though. Anyway.
2013.
Wow.
The Great Gatsby came out in. That's 9 years ago.
9 long years. So, also in June, we've got The Black Phone, new film from Scott Derrickson, starring Ethan Hawke. Apparently, I didn't watch the trailer, but all the comments on the trailer were like, "Don't watch this; it gives the entire film away."
Interesting.
But also apparently, it looks very scary. So,
is it a horror?
I think it's a turn the trailer off after a minute kind of film. But I haven't seen it. But as far as I can tell, it's Ethan Hawke plays this guy wearing a creepy mask called the Grabber, and I think he like kidnaps children.
Gonna grab ya.
Yep.
It's the role Ethan Hawke was born to play.
But yeah, this was sort of instead of because obviously Scott Derrickson walked from Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness due to creative differences, and then did The Black Phone instead. So, also, that's all of June. Moving on to July, we've got Minions: The Rise of Gru, a film I'm constantly surprised hasn't already come out.
Staggering that this hasn't released yet.
Yeah.
This movie's been in production for 30 years. No, I mean, this is another one of those ones that, like, has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back because of COVID, but, like, it's more intense because we never got any, like, pre-release media for it.
Yeah, well, and also, like, Of all the films that you're like, no, we have to preserve the theatrical experience.
Yeah, totally. That's the thing, eh? I mean, but as I've mentioned before, my favorite fact about Despicable Me is that it is bafflingly the highest grossing animated franchise of all time. So when you look at it through that lens, then maybe it does make sense to save Minions: The Rise of Gru to
It absolutely does make sense, because parents will take their children to the theaters to see a movie because it is an opportunity to have their children doing something that the parents don't actually have to be directly involved in for about 2 hours, and that is sweet relief. So
you sound very experienced.
Oh man, honestly, we took Ivy and Ezra to this this little indoor playland called Magic Loft in West Auckland. By the way, if you have children, Magic Loft, great place to go. We paid
I'm in a Magic
money.
Loft right now.
We paid like $22 for all of us to get in, and Ivy ended up getting a cold, which she then passed on to me, and I was off work for like 3 days. But still, totally worth it. 3 hours of Ivy like playing happily without me having to like listen to her being like, "Daddy, watch, Daddy, watch. Oh, Daddy, Daddy, I need you," and like being all up in my grill for 3 hours. Amazing. So, if you're going to delay the theatrical release of any movie, like don't just chuck a kid's movie up on a TV screen, because kids you won't actually be able to squeeze the benefit out of that. Put it in the theaters, get a kid into a dark theater for 2 hours and make them shut up.
Just leave. Just leave them, you'll be fine.
And harvest all of the money, because what other kind of movie can you get a guaranteed audience where there's people who don't even want to see the movie and they pay to be there?
It's a very good point. It's odd to see, in our line of work, Richard and my line of work, it's very rare to see a spin-off get a sequel. And so from that point of view, I'm like, oh, that is interesting. But also it's Minions, the inexplicable dominating pop cultural icon of the past decade and a bit. So maybe I shouldn't be so surprised.
So just briefly, if I need to mention, I don't think this will be coming out, but a film called Oh Hell No, which was starring Jack Black and supposed to star Ice Cube, but he turned down a $9 million paycheck because he didn't want to get vaccinated. The
very
plot
cool.
is described
Oh hell no.
Sherman falls in love with Will's mom, and Jack Black is playing Sherman. Presumably, Ice Cube was going to play Will, and I doubt he would have been happy about Sherman dating his mom.
And I can take a guess at what he would have said upon hearing that Sherman was dating his mom.
What?
Nope. Oh, sorry, wrong movie.
So, Thor: Love and Thunder coming out in July. New Thor film, MCU, directed by Taika Waititi. Yeah, so this one features. It's going to have the Guardians of the Galaxy going to be in it, because obviously where we left Thor at the end of Endgame, he was still with the Guardians. So, yeah, Chris Pratt, Palm Clementine, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Vin Diesel, Sean Garner, all confirmed for the film. The villain of this film is going to be Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. Yes, Jeremy, Christian Bale. It's going to be play yourself.
What are you laughing at, Jeremy?
No, that's what I was laughing at. And then Richard was just like, no, what a stupid thing, love it.
It's because that news is 2 years old, Jeremy, and we laugh at your pop cultural.
Jeremy was just laughing because I said the villain will be Christian Bale, and he's like, I thought you were just going to say Christian Bale.
Richard, that's very close to just being the kind of jokes that you pull on me all the time, though.
It is. But
so how does it feel being on the?
But now that I have Jeremy for it to flow downwards, I can act better.
All right, middle child.
So yeah, Gore the God Butcher, a character who interestingly was only created in 2013. I'm always fascinated to find out that these characters are finally coming to the MCU, and he debuted after the Avengers came out, the movie.
Well, he was rumored to be the horse one for a long time.
Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
People talk about being in the film or maybe in the film. There's a bunch of fun cameos that are going to be in it that have leaked, but you can look into those in your own time if you want.
The most interesting thing about this is that a poster was supposedly leaked for it, and it looks like when you go to like junk shops in the mall and they have like secretly have unlicensed school book coverings that's a bunch of like, or like, you know, like Malaysian flea market style, like it was like that level of like of you know, junky, like I remember finding a backpack once that had the poster art for Batman Forever on it, but then like the Batman animated series logo, that sort of thing. And this leaked and everyone was like, do not be stupid, this, of course this isn't the poster for a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And then it got released that apparently it is, but apparently in true kind of Taika Waititi fashion, apparently it's, quote, bad on purpose is the current rumor, is that it's supposed to look trashy for whatever reason, which I think is incredible if true.
Also, the other sort of big thing in this film is that Jane Foster, Natalie Portman, is returning and is going to become Mighty Thor, so gain powers similar to Thor, while undergoing cancer treatment. She had a meeting with Taika Waititi and was convinced to come back for the film after not returning for Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see this. I think that it'll be interesting to see. You know, they keep talking about like this one's full Taika, and they go even further with it. And so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that looks like, or if you know he's one of these directors that needs, you know, naysayers.
I see. Yeah, and I mean, first non-Avengers Marvel film to get a fourth. And I think it's very wise to give Thor a fourth after he only just sort of like found his feet and found his brand with Ragnarok. So yeah, looks good.
Thor
I'm
4,
sure
more Thor.
Thor 4, more Thor.
So there's a movie called Bullet Train coming out. This is directed by David Leitch, who did the John Wick films with Chad Stahelski. Stars Brad Pitt and Joey King. 5 assassins find themselves on a Japanese bullet train, realizing that their individual assignments are all interconnected. You got Brad Pitt, Joey King, Andrew Koji, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Brian Tyree Henry, and Zazie Beetz, and Sandra Bullock
apparently.
Yeah, random.
So she was actually added to the film after they'd already filmed a whole bunch of it.
Oh yeah, to replacing Lady Gaga, who had to drop out due to House of Gucci. I don't know, might be fun. Probably just a fun action movie. Apparently Joey King's role is a fun cameo.
Who's Joey King?
She's the girl from The Kissing Booth, and she's in Fargo season 1.
She's in a few. You probably recognize her if you saw her. She was in the the biopic of that the Munchausen by proxy true crime thing that happened.
Cool. So again, all things I haven't seen. So no, honestly, it'll be one of those cameo. I've now reached the age and stage of life where there's a cool cameo from like a young star, and I'm like, oh, who's this person?
To be honest, I think it's weird to call it a cameo. I don't think it's not like she's like Zendaya.
It's not like, oh my god, Joey King's here. I think it's more like she just has a small role.
Just a featured extra.
So also this July, apparently Blazing Samurai is finally coming out, which is the computer animated remake of Blazing Saddles. But now, get this, they're samurai instead of cowboys, and they're also cats.
And the new sheriff is a dog or something like that. Is that right?
Something like that. I actually don't know that much about it. Mel Brooks is in it.
I think that this sounds like a pretty good idea. I think when this got announced a couple years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and I really wanted to do like an off-week episode, which was like take an old movie and reinvent it and for a remake, because I think that'd be a fun exercise. And I think something like Blazing Saddles, which is kind of in this midway point of like, yeah, it's got a lot of stuff that probably wouldn't fly now, but ultimately its message is probably more it's the heart is in the right place more than probably a lot of modern movies are, and it sort of existed in that space. And I think this is a great way to update it, to keep the message but drop anything that maybe is a little risque. I think do you
know what's so funny? So I recently commented on the fact that you have a penchant for saying that you feel like a film was announced some ridiculous amount of time ago when it wasn't when it wasn't that long ago. This time, you said that this film was announced about 18 months ago. It was actually announced 7 years ago, Jane.
Oh, wow. Well, I first heard about it 18 months ago.
So, also in July, Black Adam is supposed to be finally coming out. We're actually starting to get little teasers for this, so... This one felt like one of those ones that might, for a while, it felt like it might never happen. Because
how long ago was it announced, Richard? Tell me so I don't make a fucking idiot of myself.
It feels like it was 30 years ago.
It does, though! It does feel like it was ages ago. Come on.
Where are we? So, well, because and pretty much when Shazam was first announced, in 2017, they said that it was going to be like a Shazam versus Black Adam, and The Rock was going to play Black Adam. And then they said, actually, they're going to make 2 films. They're going to make a Shazam film and a Black Adam film. And then they said, yep, no, Dwayne Johnson isn't appearing in Shazam. It's just going to be, there's going to be a Black Adam film. I think, I don't know, it's actually going to be really interesting seeing Dwayne Johnson in a film like this, because he's kind of, the way he's hyping it up is very like, I'm fucking dark and gritty and all this kind of thing. He's an anti-hero kind of thing. And is he making a film where he's not constantly winking at the camera? I think he will be in the end, but I think we're not going to know that until we see the movie. I think it's going to be marketed and hyped in a very sort of specific way.
And also, just to follow up on a thought I was having, the original director, who's no longer director, was signed on for a Black Adam film in 2006. Dwayne Johnson was approached about playing Captain Marvel that year, but by Shazam, sorry, by 2007, Johnson was interested in Black Adam. So 2007 was when Dwayne Johnson was like circling Black Adam at the earliest. That's nuts.
That is crazy.
He wasn't even in his like prime then, you know? Like
he was still a wrestler, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he was still a wrestler, but he was like, I feel like Fast Five is what made Dwayne Johnson a brand, right?
Yeah.
He was still in like his pacifier kind of days.
His Welcome to the Jungle / The Rundown days. He's still in here.
Yeah. So
Walking Tall.
Jeremy, you were quite a big fan of Shazam. Do you have similar like anticipation for Black Adam, or do you not?
Well, it's interesting because I didn't really anticipate Shazam. I was just blown away by how good it was when it came out, and so I watched the trailer. I was very confused by it. I did not understand anything that was really going on whatsoever. I mean, I'll watch it. Sure. I don't know what to expect from it. So, and again, I mean, Dwayne Johnson's record of like not being involved in crap has really taken a hit over the last year. So I'm less gung ho about anything he's in being a good time. Jungle Cruise. So yes, remains to be seen, but interesting to see him taking on the heel role. And also, every time I hear anyone say Black Adam, I just think you're about to say Blackadder, and I'm like, lol.
Do you know, the only other time I've heard someone refer to a villain as a heel was earlier today, and then you just said it again then. Fun little Beta Meinhof. What's the next one?
So the next one is a film called Secret Headquarters. This is about a kid who thinks his dad is a superhero. The dad is played by Owen Wilson, and it's directed by the guys who made Catfish, the original movie, and then were they made one of the Paranormal Activity movies. It also stars Michael Pena. So
what a series of things I'm not interested in the slightest. We're in August now, by the way.
And then we've also got The Man from Toronto. This is about Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson, where a screw-up is forced to team up with an assassin after the two are confused for one another while staying at an Airbnb.
That sounds fun.
This year's Stuber. And
which I never saw, so maybe...
I mean, Stuber was fine, but... I didn't see it. It will be this year's Stuber, I imagine.
The Man from Toronto is like you went to movie title generator, and that's what it gave you. It's very old school.
I think it's intentionally like underplaying, like it's making it sound lame.
Yeah, right.
We've also got a movie called Samaritan, which is where this kid realizes that this superhero from back in the day might still be alive, might still be around. And Sylvester Stallone plays that superhero. And the film has been described as a dark new take on superhero movies. We haven't seen that before.
Is that not just the plot? Hancock as well, but also like Rocky Balboa or Creed probably.
Or Megamind.
No, I'm saying like Sylvester Stallone is retired and a new young buck comes and finds him to get him back in the ring. That's just Creed.
Yeah. So that's all we've got for August. Is a pretty weak month. Salem's Lot in September.
Hell yeah! I've the title Salem's Lot. I think my father read it and my brother read it. Has been hanging over me my whole life, and I've just heard about how like pants poopingly scary this book apparently is. Stephen King novel.
You excited to poop your pants?
I'm ecstatic for it. I can't wait.
I'll be glad to finally have a reason to point to as to why I did it.
Yeah, exactly. I did have a reason if you listen to the Barbie episode.
There's never really a reason though, is there? So Dark Harvest, this is also coming out. I wrote this down for some reason, but...
What is this?
Dark Harvest is an adaptation of a horror novel. It's got Jeremy Davies in it.
Fun.
It's set in Hamlet where it's a young men must confront a creature each year in the hopes that they will win a desirable prize. Sweet, whatever. Distant, this is a new DreamWorks animation movie that I think looked kind of cool. It's been 3 weeks now since I've written this list. So, the spaceship of asteroid miner Andy gets stuck on an asteroid, sending him to an alien planet where he contends with his AI survival suit. Losing oxygen, he connects with a fellow crew member, Naomi, via radio, who is trapped inside her escape pod. Anthony Ramos as Andy, Naomi Scott, and Zachary Quinto as the voice of the AI.
And this is a kids movie? This sounds very serious.
Yeah.
Sounds very,
I'm sure it'll be wacky. He'll be like
existential, sad space.
Maybe he does a big fart in his spacesuit and he smells.
No, that's Lightyear, AJ.
No, I mean, like if I didn't know this was animated, I would think it was cashing in on the Ad Astra Interstellar Solaris kind of.
It is. It's
Passengers.
Yeah.
It's not animated. Sorry, it's by DreamWorks, but it's not animated.
So it just could be what we're describing.
Yeah, no. So I think it probably is just a.
It really sounds like what it's actually going to be.
I don't think he will fart in a spaceship.
Oh well, that's fun. I wrote DreamWorks animation in my notes. I'm just gonna change it to say DreamWorks. But an animation
for all those people,
possibly,
for all those people who are going to read it after this.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, a film which
Bullshit.
I'll believe when I see.
There is no way that Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is coming out.
Which was originally called Puss in Boots: 9 Lives and 40 Thieves.
And how long ago was that? Like, okay.
Like, it feels like 30
the joke
years.
of the episode. It feels like 30 years. I know that when we did the Shrek franchise in 2017, the Puss in Boots and the whatever the original title was, that was in the Wikipedia page. So I remember talking about it on that episode.
Oh, no, in that episode, it was like, yeah, like this is ever going to come out.
Yeah, exactly. And what is the state of the Puss in Boots, like, Netflix series? Is that still going?
It's booming.
Because think about how dead the Shrek universe is in film, right? Like, there's
not in meme culture, though. It's
No, of course not. But there hasn't been a new Shrek movie in over 10 years. Like, it feels like they're this close to rebooting Shrek, and I cannot believe that a Puss in Boots sequel will be coming. It's weird that like this and Minions: Rise of Gru are playing the same game almost, like spin-offs, sequels to spin-offs that you're surprised they're bothering to do a sequel to.
Yeah.
But maybe this is going to be more like the Netflix series version,
true.
Maybe it's separating it into that universe. I don't know.
So a film called Don't Worry, Darling is coming out. This is directed by Olivia Wilde, her second film, and it stars Florence Pugh and Harry Styles. The premise is an unhappy housewife in the 1950s discovers a disturbing truth while her loving husband hides a dark secret. Also stars Chris Pine, Olivia Wilde, Nick Kroll, Dita Von Teese.
Nick Kroll?
Yeah.
I think I might have seen the trailer for this, but
there was like an
sounds
announcement
great.
trailer that was like shots of a couple of the characters, and
okay.
the date
Yes.
being that it's coming out was a year from when it. But very interesting if you follow the sort of behind the scenes leaks and rumors for this film. This isn't like cameo level or anything like that. So
apparently Doctor Strange is going to be in it.
So Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde have started dating. She was obviously famously married to Jason Sudeikis. And so there's all this sort of talk, and people in the industry, I've seen a bunch of TikToks about it and read some articles about it, that so pretty much apparently with like 1 or 2 weeks left to go on filming, Olivia Wilde made everyone sign an NDA about it, because in filming up until that point, which you would do before production starts, not with a week to go. So Jason Sudeikis would come and visit set. I think they might have already been separating when the filming started, and he would come to visit set. They have kids that they were sort of sharing, looking after, and then one day Olivia Wilde bans people coming to set and then starts being all kind of flirty and head over heels with Harry Styles, and would spend a lot of time in his trailer. And then so apparently Florence Pugh actually directed like 80% of this movie herself, because Olivia Wilde was just making googly eyes over Harry Styles.
Who's how much younger than there's a big age gap there, isn't it?
Yeah, so she is Wilde. She's 37, he's 28. No, only 9 years.
Still very sexy.
But yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm sure more will come out about that. Hold up.
Wow. My God. Olivia Wilde's come to kill him for revealing all this information.
Yes, I don't know. It'd be
I mean, it sounds like a cool movie, though.
Yeah,
it's really interesting because I was sitting here for the last probably the last 2 months that we're talking about, just thinking like, man, where are the new movie stars? Like, where are the cool up and coming, like exciting young movie stars? And then you said the words Florence Pugh, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, awesome. Like, I was like, that's right. We do have like this new generation who are extremely exciting actors and actresses to watch. And
I would put Harry Styles in that category.
Yeah, again, like he is a bona fide star. Like whatever he does, he has that star. he has that star quality that, like, it's he would, if this was the 1930s, he would have a contract with a studio.
Yeah. Also in September, this is one I've marked as one of my most anticipated. It's a film called Bros. Do you guys know about this? This is Billy Eichner's romantic comedy, which is the first studio film to have an entirely LGBTQ principal cast. Wow. Yeah, so it's got Billy Eichner, Jim Rash, Harvey Fierstein, who else? Bowen Yang, just like sort of a lot of fun people to watch, and I quite like Billy Eichner. He wrote it, and it's directed by Nicholas Stoller, and I think Judd Apatow's co-producing it. Nicholas Stoller did The Muppets.
Oh, and
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, cool. Oh, nice. That sounds good.
Yeah, so it's cool to like. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think that the talent behind it and will make it at least a fun rom-com.
I just can't even imagine Billy Eichner, Jim Rash, and Harvey Fierstein in the same room. Like, as sort of entertainers, they just all are so distinct in their personalities that I can't imagine them playing. Like, I don't think that they're not going to play well together, but it's just they're so almost like iconic in the way that they are that I can't imagine. And they're always the biggest person in the room, or like the most interesting and kind of like subversive character in the room. And it's like when you put all three of them, like what happens?
And I hope this is okay for me to say as well, but like considering it's an LGBT cast, like they're all kind of like famously like being gay is very much a part of all three of their brands, but in very different executions, And it reminds me, I don't know if you guys know about Taylor Swift and Damon Albarn from Blur and Gorillaz feuding at the moment. But I saw a tweet, or someone told me about a tweet that said the best thing about the Taylor Swift Damon Albarn feud is that it's bringing two different types of gays together that have never met each other before.
All right, next, here's one of, I think, 4 films this year that we all put as one of our most anticipated. That is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, which I'm not going to read that out.
Jeremy did make fun of last week, though.
Mm.
So he has to stick to his guns and be negative and against this movie coming out.
Yes. and all multiverse, Spider-Verse, anything verse iterations, they can all get fucked.
Alrighty. So yeah, this is the for a lot of us, I guess the 2/3 of us, the much anticipated follow-up to Into the Spider-Verse. We've seen like a little mini announcement trailer kind of thing. And I got right off the bat, I gotta throw in a complaint. I don't mind Across the Spider-Verse as a title, but that Part 1 better be a placeholder. They better just be telling us that it's part 1 of a 2-part story, because I can't imagine when you have a series in which the only differing word is into and across, why you wouldn't just come up with a third word for the third film. Like, if this is Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 and then there's Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, I think that's such a disappointment. Like, such an opportunity for fun titles, and you're already on thin ice by barely changing this one, and just doing Part 1 and Part 2 would be a bummer.
Yeah, but
I'd rather it be Into the Spider-Verse Part 2. You know, like that makes more sense. But yeah, looks great. Sure, it'll be great.
Yeah. No reason to think it won't be.
Didn't one of the Lord and/or Millers said it was they were employing animation styles never seen before or something like that.
Yeah,
which is what the first one kind of did.
The animation in this one makes the first film look quaint.
That's so exciting.
So we also got an October film called Tar, which I imagine might be an Oscar contender. It's directed by Todd Field. It's his first film in 16 years since Little Children. Stars Cate Blanchett. Not really much is known about the plot, I think, but yeah, Todd Field, his third film.
What was the last thing Cate Blanchett did? Man, she's been quiet for a while.
No, she isn't.
Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
Oh right, I didn't see that.
She played like a what kind of like a
Hoda
what
copy.
kind of, yeah, okay. she's like a shitty tabloid news anchor.
She was also in Nightmare Alley.
Oh yeah, true. She's actually in stuff that's
she's in
both been
cinemas
nominated
now.
for Oscar. Yeah, she's in cinemas now. Go check
she's
out.
in 2 films nominated for Best Picture. So there you go. That answers your question there, Jim.
Oh, good.
She's also going to be in the Borderlands
I'm glad she's
film.
been kept busy.
I'm just worried about her, you know. It's like my dad asking me if I've gotten any work lately. Has Cate Blanchett done anything recently?
Me and her mother are very concerned.
So
it's because we care about you, Kate.
Also in October we've got Halloween Ends, which one of my most disappointing films last year was Halloween Kills, but hoping they save it for this one.
Like, I don't know if I said this on our most disappointing roundup for it, and I know I've said it in real life, so that's why I can't remember if I said it on pod or not. But like, the ending to Halloween 2018, I would have loved it if they'd just put a bow on it and said, "Yep, he died."
Put a bow and arrow on it,
and then why? What does bow and arrows have to do with?
I don't know. Well, they go with bows, arrows.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I was expecting you to ignore me. Sorry, I wasn't expecting a follow-up.
Like, I was trying to figure out what bow and arrows had to do with Michael Myers. It's like, was this a pun? But based on what? Anyway, the ending to Halloween 2018 is completely like kneecapped by the idea of them wanting to do a sequel. Halloween Kills was very much not the sequel we needed to justify.
But it's the sequel we deserved.
It's not good enough to justify crippling the ending to the previous film, and I highly doubt Halloween Ends will follow through on that either. I thought that the ending of Halloween Kills was so stupid that I can't imagine being on board for Halloween Ends. But you bet your ass I'll see it.
Yeah. and we'll probably do a film for it, just follow-ups on it.
Something
So,
like
Jeremy, one you've marked as your most anticipated, Ticket to Paradise. The stars George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
What more do you need to say?
I don't
Move
have
on.
to.
It stars
sorry.
George Clooney and Julia Roberts. I am anticipating watching it.
George
What is it
Clooney
about?
lost weight for it. He did keto to lose weight. University of Chicago graduate Ren Butler accompanies her best friend Lily on a post-graduation jaunt to Bali. After Lily abruptly decides to marry a local, her divorced parents try to stop their daughter from making the same mistake they once made 25 years ago. Meanwhile, Ren stays in Bali for the festivities and in the process finds her own love with a local doctor. So it feels like they're going to be very secondary in this film.
I was going to say,
main Ren and Lily are Billy Lord and Caitlin Dever, so they're still
I was going to say, Jeremy, I'm so sorry. It sounds like Julia Roberts and George Clooney are not playing the main characters.
It doesn't matter. They're still in it. I mean, my boomer heart is full, and I'm hoping that they both get nominated for Oscars for it. Just so we see Julia turn up to the Oscars again next year.
What a down, like, kind of like a understated sounding role to go out of your way to lose weight for. Like, especially when you're George Clooney and you're already like, presumably,
and especially when you're playing a dad.
Yeah, he should be gaining weight.
So we're getting through these. We're on to November. There's still 20 something films to go, but The Flash. The Flash is finally getting a movie. Barry Allen, the fastest man alive, portrayed in this film by Ezra Miller, but who gives a shit, because the fun sort of thing about this film is that not only is Ben Affleck coming back to the role of Batman, which he said he was done with, and he said that this is a nice finish for his time as Batman, but we also have Michael Keaton returning as Batman for the first time since Batman Returns.
It's your favorite thing, Jeremy. It's multiverse bullshit, but this time it's not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's Batman. It's
Like
Batman. It's different.
Like a phoenix rising from the flames of Ben Affleck's ass. Ben Affleck is back as Batman.
But Michael Keaton's back as Batman. I feel like that's the selling point.
I know.
I do love that they've made a Flash movie. The only way they could have made a Flash movie exciting is by being like, well, there's got Batman in it. One of the other surprising things about this is that Ezra Miller still has work, because he is on the knife edge of the cancellation cutting board. It's very confused metaphor, but I stand by it.
Really? What did he do?
He choked out a fan who asked for a photo.
Yeah, there's a video of him choking a fan. It could the only ambiguity of it is people don't know the context of it.
People don't know if she deserved it.
No, people don't. It could be like a
Choke me
like a
daddy
joke.
kind of fan issue.
Or he's maybe not even hurting her. I think was the defense, was like, no, they're doing a bit, basically, was the defense I heard of it. But I feel like we would have heard if that was true by now, and I don't think we have heard that. So I feel very uneasy watching Ezra Miller and things after that, especially having seen the video. It's one thing to know like an actor's done dodgy stuff, but to see a video,
it was in Reykjavik as well, randomly. But he also encountered a bit of hot water last month. Because
when he threatened to murder the KKK.
Yeah. And people were like,
man, what a controversial thing to do.
Can we say
I think
that?
it was more like it's like not the message that people are wanting to not the correct anti-KKK message. I don't know.
Yeah, so that is The Flash. David O. Russell has got a new fucking movie out. Woohoo.
You've written here it's possibly called Canterbury Glass, which just sounds like a local glazier in the city that I live in.
So it's allegedly called Canterbury Glass. The premise is a doctor and a lawyer form an unlikely partnership. It stars Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Rami Malek, Zoe Saldana, Robert De Niro, Mike Myers, Timothy Olyphant, Michael Shannon, Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Andrea Riseborough, and Taylor Swift.
Oh,
that's a lot of people.
That really took a turn at the end there.
I don't know. I don't like David O. Russell. Not a fan. American Hustle.
Well, he's
Did not like that
his whole vibe is that very kind of mid 2010s kind of like, look at us and we can have sexy stars doing things that if they weren't sexy, we wouldn't bother watching.
Yeah, and apparently he's just a prick as well.
That's how he got all these wonderful actors to work with.
Yeah.
I know, and that's how he
bullied
gets.
them.
That's how he gets actors to keep going back and working with him by being a prick to them. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, John David Washington replaced Michael B. Jordan. I've just seen, interestingly. Yeah, so that's that. And then also Untitled. This is another thing like we did with yesterday. There's an Untitled Bee Gees biopic directed by Kenneth Branagh, which would make his third film coming out this year in the space of 12 months after Belfast and Death on the Nile. But yeah.
Kenneth Branagh's a weird director to get to do the Bee Gees biopic.
He's just going back through all the things that he loved when he was growing up. He started out with his hometown experience
Troubles.
at Belfast, and now he's just doing the Bee Gees.
All right, so we're going to play the game. We're going to
Yeah.
do what Bee Gees song title is the movie going to be called?
Yeah. New York mining disaster 1941.
What about I Started a Joke?
That's pretty good.
Or To Love Somebody? They can't do Staying Alive, can they?
Yeah,
Saturday Night
Saturday Night Fever because they're already taken.
Grease
Jeremy, I've-
is the word.
Is that a Bee Gees song?
Yeah.
Immortality, I hope so, because then they can bring back Celine Dion for Immortality. Yeah.
It's just called Tragedy. I feel like you would call it like How Deep Is Your Love or something. That it's
Right.
like you just call it their biggest song, a la Bohemian Rhapsody.
Do we think it's going to be as like both this and Elvis? Do you think that it's going to be as paint by numbers as Bohemian Rhapsody, or we're going to have a Bohemian Rhapsody versus Rocketman situation?
I sure hope to see as much editing as we saw with Bohemian Rhapsody. Because as we all know, the more editing, the better.
As soon as I made that comparison between Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocketman with Elvis and Untitled Bee Gees biopic, I suddenly realized and had this deep, deep feeling of how little I want to go through that drama happen again. It's so uninteresting, so boring.
Rocketman was great, though.
I never saw it.
That was great.
It was good. I enjoyed it a lot.
So November, the last MCU film of the year, we've got Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Interestingly, Jeremy, you're the only person that's put this as your most anticipated. But I think, yeah, for me and I'm assuming AJ as well, it's a little bit like there's a little bit too much not in this film's corner. That's kind of like, because yeah, so obviously Chadwick Boseman passed away, so they've said they're not recasting T'Challa, so we're sort of having to deal with that. And are we like the universe needs to move on? There needs to be a Black Panther in the universe. So I am kind of apprehensive of the idea of just crowning a new Black Panther. Having said all this, I trust Ryan Coogler more than that. But like Martin Freeman's coming back, and he said when Ryan Coogler, he had a Zoom meeting with Ryan Coogler to pitch him the idea, to pitch Martin the idea, and he said it took him like 30 minutes to explain it, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know, man." Like,
wow,
he said like when he was like, "This is insane," and so the idea of
they're going multiversal. The only way to recast T'Challa,
and also the Letitia Wright controversy.
Yeah, obviously the Chadwick Boseman stuff is very sad. I think the Letitia Wright stuff is very unfortunate that that's coincided with them needing to recast or re-crown the Black Panther, with her being the most logical one to do it. It's almost like they've lost two actors in a way now. I think they probably should have recast T'Challa. I think they've done it before, and I think it sets a strange precedent to not recast. And I've from a lot of like Twitter, this is getting very close to my black friend said this, but like I've seen some schools of thought on Twitter saying it's one of those like kind of like, why can't you recast T'Challa? Like it's it feels like a weird kind of exception to make when they would probably happily recast and have happily recast other characters in the MCU before.
Not to that of that level though.
Obviously, Black Panther's more important than Hulk, like in terms of cultural impact.
What's his face? With Terrence Howard and Don Cheadle.
Iron
War Machine.
War Machine.
War Machine.
Iron Patriot.
Yeah, and I think that's like from another perspective. I guess it's more like it's going to be so much less trouble for you story wise to just recast the character, and like it's not like you can't do that, and I just think that would be the better way to go. My biggest problem with this movie, however, so far, and similar to Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, Wakanda Forever is what you've come up with your subtitle. Like what does that tell us? That was said in the first movie. You know what I mean? Like that was like already a catchphrase. It doesn't tell you anything about the. Like it's not that it needs to tell you more about it, but it's like you could have called the first one that, you know, like I wish that a more unique title was announced than the kind of like borderline memified Wakanda Forever.
What about Wakanda for Never?
Very good.
So also in November we've got She Said. Now this is following the tradition of in the footsteps of films like All the President's Men or Spotlight. This is about the work of the journalists that Jodie Cantor and Megan Twohey, who broke the story of Harvey Weinstein's sexual misconduct allegations. Stars Zoe Kazan and Carey Mulligan as those two, and I imagine this will be a big player at the Oscars. One of those
cool title.
Yeah,
good title.
It's based on a book called She Said.
What do we reckon about Hollywood making movies about their own
like shortcomings?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I could see this film, if it's good, I could see doing quite well at the Oscars, but it'll be that kind of discussion of like Hollywood being like, we're awarding this film to make up for the fact that we let Harvey Weinstein do this. And it's like, no, we recognize it. You guys made this great film about it. We're square. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like, there's going to be discussion about that of if this does well at the Oscars or if this receives a bunch of nominations, that it will be that kind of like, yeah, of course you guys want to fucking...
Yeah, it's that Simpsons joke about how Hollywood loves nothing more than making movies about underdogs taking on the man. Or something, like when they are the man.
But yeah, I am excited for this film, like Zoe Kazan and Carey Mulligan, and I think it'll be an interesting story. It's similar as well, probably to Bombshell. So there's also November The Fabelmans. This is Steven Spielberg's film, which he's assembled quite the cast for. Michelle Williams, Seth Rogen, Paul Dano, and
who's directing it? Sorry,
Steven Spielberg. It's his Belfast essentially. It's his film that's like sort of loosely based on his childhood in Arizona. So yeah, I think Michelle Williams and Paul Dano play his parents, and Seth Rogen plays his uncle. Again, we'll probably do quite well at the Oscars. So just worth pointing out. Also in November, we've got Creed 3, directed by Michael B. Jordan. This is another one. I don't know if it's even in production yet, so I wouldn't be surprised if this got delayed. But yeah, Michael B. Jordan, I'm interested to see him do it, but I am also apprehensive about a Creed film without Rocky in it, who's now walked away from the role.
I was going to say, you haven't marked this as your most anticipated of the year, which I thought was interesting considering how diehard you are for Rocky. And I think that I agree. I think doing it without Rocky is interesting. In a weirder way, I personally, and this is not at all supposed to reflect other people's experiences, after Film Franchise Fortnights, I feel like I've closed the book on Rocky in a weird way. And not in the sense that I'll never watch them again, more that like I feel like I had such an experience watching them, and it feels strange to be returning to that world in any form, in a way.
Yeah. We're now on to December. So yeah, we are getting through these quickly, but obviously as the year goes on, we have less and less information about films. And then we've got a bunch of undated ones as well, which we'll get to. So Violet Night, this is presumably a Christmas horror movie. It stars David Harbour. That'll be fun. But one of December's big releases, I guess they're hoping that it'll be December's biggest release, is Avatar 2.
Oh,
what do we reckon? Yes, it will.
Gosh.
Will it come out?
I think yes.
Wow.
I think we will. If they've actually given it a release date, I think it will. I mean, Lord knows they've had north of 12 years to do it.
Yeah.
So bloody hell, just release a damn movie already.
My favorite meme is to repost /film articles that be like, sad news, Avatar 2 delayed to 2014. It's just like, how long ago was that? Like, even 2009 when the original came out. My attitude on this is it's more fun to be excited for a big release than to be too cool for it. So in that sense, I'm happy to jump on the train despite having almost no feelings for Avatar.
Interesting. I feel like this is an interesting thing because you're more like you're happier to jump on the bandwagon of anticipating a film, but I think I'm more happy to jump on the bandwagon of liking the film.
Okay. Right. Oh, I just got to what you meant. You're talking about Avatar specifically. I thought you meant just films in general. And
I do mean just films in general.
Oh,
you don't really like films in general, AJ.
Me? You guys don't watch any. The only reason you guys like more films is because you barely watch any anymore.
Well, okay, that's 1 year you're taking, for example. We were in lockdown for 3 months.
One 366-day period you're talking about.
Yeah. Where movie theaters were shut for us for a long time. But I think I don't know, it's just a funny thing that I feel like on the most anticipated you're like, no, like I'm super looking forward to this. Whereas when we get to the most disappointed at the end of the year, I'm more likely to be like, I don't know, I had fun with it, man. Like Space
and
Jam
I resent
2.
you for it.
Yeah, and I resent you for your thing. So,
Jeremy,
Avatar
would
2.
you like to share your resentments?
Oh, I mean, that's well catalogued. Just go back and listen to the previous podcast, AJ. No, so, I mean, Avatar 2, right? Like, what's really interesting to me is that Avatar, when it came out, in 2009, people...
God! Like, a life ago. I know. It's so long.
It was before Inception. It was before like The Dark Knight Rises.
The term MCU hadn't been coined. It's before Dark Knight Rises. It's well before Dark Knight Rises. 3 years before Dark Knight Rises.
Can I just point out though that Avatar was meant to be like James Cameron revolutionizing cinema by bringing real 3D back to our screens. And what I love is that Avatar 2 has taken so long to come out that the studios have finally, and thank God, fucking given up on forcing 3D movies on us. And I hadn't even noticed.
Until December.
But I hadn't even noticed because I remember thinking about it, like, you know, and for ages, for years, I just had like spare pairs of 3D glasses just sitting in my cars, like
just in case,
glove box, just
You'd
rattling
pop the
around.
lenses out and be a cool hipster.
It just like for years, and I used to look at them and I used to go, when will studios stop like trying to squeeze extra money out of us by putting shitty like retroactive 3D onto their film? And I didn't even notice when it stopped, and I'm so grateful. And now they're probably going to try and do it again.
Hey, and they say Avatar had no effect on the zeitgeist. Look at us reminiscing in 2009 in a post-Avatar 3D world.
But now I'm just worried. I'm just worried that, like, because it's been so long, James Cameron has had way too long to think up some other shitty way of, like, transforming the cinema experience.
Well,
I think Smell-O-Vision is going to be brought in, and we're all going to have to buy, like, little nose caps.
Hey, Robert Rodriguez already perfected that with Spy Kids all the time in the world. The interesting thing, so this film is sort of being sold on the fact that like this is they're gonna go underwater, and this has been teased since 2010. And they're still sticking to that. They
it's the water one.
People had
the
to.
First one's the forest jungle one.
Yeah.
This is the water one.
So Kate Winslet had to learn to free dive for the film because she's in it. Cliff Curtis, Zoe Saldana, Sam Worthington. See what how he holds up. Giovanni Ribisi's in it again.
He was poised for stardom after Avatar and is cashing in his stardom check.
Yeah.
And Avatar 2,
what was
12
his
years later.
What was his post-Avatar movie? Was it
Clash of the Titans?
John something from Mars or something like that?
No, that's Taylor Kitsch.
Oh, right, okay. Same guy. Honestly, same guy.
Yeah, he was in the Clash and Wrath of the Titans was his big.
Oh, yeah, that's
thing.
same movie.
But yeah, Jermaine Clements in it as a human. Sigourney Weaver's coming back, playing a different character apparently, because she died in the film. And Stephen Lang, who also died in the first film, who played the villain, is apparently coming back. James Cameron in 2010 confirmed that he'd be coming back, saying, "I'm not going to say exactly how I'll bring him back, but it's a science fiction story after all. His character will evolve in really unexpected places across the arc of our new 3-film saga, and he's going to act as the main antagonist in all 4 sequels again, and his role involves motion capture."
So, I would like to say something here, which is, if you can trace back the origins of Avatar, the original film, right? There's like this famous Hollywood blacklist book that you can find from like somewhere in the 90s where Avatar is listed, and it's like giant purple aliens, and it's fun to read of all the things that, you know, were changed, and it mentions James Cameron. And I feel like it also mentioned that it was planned to be a saga, which means Avatar 2 has been in production in some way for around about 30 years.
Honestly, I think this is a huge billions of dollar studio version of that guy at a party who keeps talking to you about this dream that he's had. And you're like, please, I need someone to break this conversation up. Someone needs to get me out of this conversation. And the guy is just convinced that everyone is going to want to know about this dream that he's had. And that is James Cameron writ large on like the biggest stage you could possibly muster across world cinema.
Yeah. I honestly, I know it's a meme to be like, oh, I'm not excited for Avatar 2, but I can't imagine. I am anticipating the film will be good. James, you should never bet against James Cameron, but I can't imagine what could be in the trailer that I could be like, holy fuck, he did it. He made me excited for Avatar 2. You know?
Yeah.
A new way that the aliens can orgasm. Yeah. Like we know about the tails.
Now in smell-o-vision.
So also the same day as Avatar 2, one of them's going to move, I'm sure. We've got Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which is stars Jason Momoa, Willem Dafoe, Patrick Wilson, Dolph Lundgren, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Temuera Morrison, Nicole Kidman, all from the first film, and also the return of Amber Heard.
Really?
Despite quite a powerful $1.5 million signature, 1.5 million signatures strong petition to have her fired.
1.5 million. That's insane.
Yeah. So yeah, Johnny Depp lost his role. Like this is one of the first ones where I actually feel like I don't want to support this because that person's in it.
Yeah, I think that the I don't know if I've said this on pod before, but I think we're about to enter into a second phase of the concept of cancel culture, in that Hollywood, I think, with a few specific examples, are trying to look for other ways to mend a film with a cancelled actor in it beyond recasting them and putting other people in it. Because I think that like you saw, like with the likes of Ansel Elgort and West Side Story, with the likes of
Kevin Spacey and Billionaire Boys Club,
or actual cannibal Armie Hammer,
Death of the Nile,
in Death of the Nile, and is he being recast in the Taika Waititi movie?
Yeah, it's well on it now.
Okay, well maybe they got that one just in time, but I reckon
apparently Armie Hammer was like more of a cameo on the film anyway. Right. Now Will Arnett's gonna have a bigger role.
Right. I reckon we are going to see the machine and the iron fist of Hollywood try and manipulate culture into some form of accepting seeing actors we dislike again in cinemas. Because before cancel culture, this just happened, right? Like, how many, fucking Mel Gibson was in tons of shit after being what would have been considered getting cancelled when, various things came to light. Or like, I don't know, various 80s comedians, like, I feel like we're always caught in some kind of scandal and we just forget about it and let it go now. Like, I think that Hollywood, from a capitalist perspective, are desperate to move us back to that, to move us back to just accepting seeing actors we know are bad people and just not letting that detract from seeing the movie. And I think that sucks. I think it's bad.
Yeah.
I think it's phenomenal that you can have one relationship that is so toxic that both parties can be cancelled. Like there isn't like a clear victim and a clear aggressor. It's just when everything came out in that court case, everyone's just like, oh fuck, please, both of you go away forever.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree.
So next we have a film that I kind of almost chaotically wanted to put as one of my most anticipated, which is the untitled new Mario film.
What do you guys reckon the untitled new Mario film will be called?
So this stars Charles Martinet in a cameo role, who's the voice of Super Mario. But
and
obviously
like
also,
most of the Mario characters.
Yeah, you got Sebastian Maniscalco as Foreman Spike, Kevin Michael Richardson as Kamek, Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, Jack Black as Bowser, Charlie Day as Luigi, Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, and everybody's favorite, Chris Pratt as Mario. And God, I'm so in love with this cast. Like, it just the Chris Pratt playing Mario is so funny. It's the funniest fucking casting that's ever happened. And Charlie Day as Luigi is such fun casting. I love that so much.
They're both, like, Charlie Day as Luigi is excellent, like, for a good reason. Chris Pratt is like, what on earth are you doing? And I think, besides the fact that people have, like, their reservations and justified, potentially, dislike of Chris Pratt these days, I think that what got me, the true Orwellian, like, dystopian vibes of Chris Pratt playing Mario was that announcement video where you have, like, gawky, chubby little plumber, the depiction of someone, like, who's just not supposed to really be seen as, like, attractive in any way. It's more just a funny little cartoon character with, like, this glamorous headshot of Chris Pratt next to him. It's insanity. It's like, why would you cast that? And, like, I think we can have the conversation about how sad it is that voice actors miss out on big roles like this when they are more equipped than other actors. And I think someone like Anya Taylor-Joy, that's a really good example of that, because, what does Anya Taylor-Joy's voice sound like? I can't remember.
It sounds like this.
That's not why I like her as an actress, right? And yet they've cast her.
I like her because of her freaky eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not even going to see them.
I'm not even going to see how hot she is.
And I think that and so that's an example where it's like, this is a shame. We've got an interesting spectrum here, where on one end you've got Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, where you're like, that's a shame that someone with a more distinctive voice wasn't cast in this role. Then in the middle you've got Charlie Day, where you're like, yep, as Luigi, I could see him doing something chaotic and appropriate and great for the film. And then on the other hand, you have Chris Pratt, who was like, what is even happening? What is this going to sound like?
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to do, because there's like, it's like a ClickHole or an Onion thing, I think, that's like, Chris Pratt confirms he won't be Italian in the Mario movie. Mario isn't Italian anymore, he's normal.
Yeah, but apparently that's true. He's not going to do the accent, which is like, here's the thing about I want to show how I'm better than everyone who was complaining about the Chris Pratt Mario announcement, right? As like everyone's like, no, Charles Martinet deserves it. He's voiced the character for 30 years, and like he's the one that deserves to have this role. He's the one who's done in the hard yards. What is the longest sentence you've heard Martinet's Mario say?
Yeah.
I reckon it's "Here we go." I don't want to hear that
It's
voice
me, Mario.
for 90 minutes. So I understand there is a need. They are required to adapt the character somewhat to have a palatable voice that you're going to be able to hear for
Which
a 90-minute
Charlie
movie.
Day. Mwah.
Well, and maybe he should have been Mario. Like there are. I think it's a paradox of being a chaotic and also uninspired to cast Chris Pratt as Mario. I think
It's just watching the internet implode. Was very fun.
And then 2 weeks later, he was cast as Garfield.
So funny, even funnier.
It's actually really interesting, the parallels between like casting, leading men and women names in like stuff where their visage and the thing that really gets you into a movie is really not useful in voice acting. Really similar to casting people who can't sing in musical movies.
For sure. What a great parallel.
One day
Even
more.
the whole idea of like, the musical purists like me wanting them to cast actual musical theater and like the originators of the role on Broadway to do it in the movie so you can get a movie version of that. It's just, it is very interesting. You've got a very specific set of skills that can kind of be done by someone else in a movie, but it's just not exactly the same.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. I have very little attachment to Mario, so I'm not like especially bummed out. I just think what it is that Chris Pratt is such an uninspired casting choice that it is chaotic. I think that's what the paradox is.
He's not a character actor.
No.
And
so is Mario going to have like the voice of the guy from Jurassic World? Like,
what's really interesting though is
here?
that Chris Pratt started his acting career as a character actor. Like he actually was like the funny guy, like the sort of the bit on the side for humor, but he transformed himself into like a leading man role.
Yeah.
And
to play Mario, who'd be more appropriate for 2010 Chris Pratt then.
Yeah, like when he was playing Andy on Parks and Rec,
exactly.
you could totally see that silly goofball being Mario. And
I mean, look at Emmett from the Lego Movie. Like, I don't even think Chris Pratt's a bad voice actor. I just think like is Mario either going to be Owen Grady from Jurassic World or he's going to be Emmett from the Lego Movie, and neither of those, according to my approximate knowledge of the very, very basic characterization of Mario, I don't think either of them seem to fit, and I think there are probably plenty of other actors you could have got to play Mario,
but none would have been as funny as Chris Pratt. And
correct. That's what's important.
So we're getting I Want to Dance with Somebody, which is a musical biopic about Whitney Houston, directed by Casey Lemons. Stars.
Damn, this one already got its title based on a song by Whitney Houston.
This one stars Naomi Eki as Whitney Houston, who is she played the character that was invented for Rise of Skywalker, so that Finn is straight.
She was Finn's straight bait,
and also a biological essentialist. They had to make sure she was black as well.
And then it's like, well, we can't introduce a black character without having her be related to the one other black character we already have.
I remember when it was rumored, like, is she playing Lando's daughter? I was like, that's racist. And then I was like, of course she won't be Lando's daughter. That's so clear. It's such a clearly racist thing to say. And then the movie sort of pussyfoots around confirming it.
So finally, for the year, again, what I'm sure will be a big player at the Oscars, we've got Babylon. This is the new film from Damien Chazelle. It's set in the golden age of Hollywood. Surprise, surprise. But it stars Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Olivia Wilde, Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie in another Oscar-running golden age of Hollywood movie.
Samara Weaving, Spike Jonze, and Tobey Maguire.
So it's part of the Spider-Verse, confirmed.
Yeah, of course.
And the Tarantino verse.
Yeah. So, yeah, it stars... She's playing Clara Bow, who was, like... So it's presumably the time period it's going to take place, because Clara Bow was the original It Girl. That was actually her nickname. She was in a film called It, and she became the It Girl for that. But she was one of the ones that successfully went from silent films to talkies, and sort of became the face of the Roaring '20s. So it's going to be set around then.
Okay, that's it. That's all the set in stone releases for 2022.
And now we have some that aren't set in stone. They're set in sponge.
Malleable. They're set in melted gummy bears.
But yeah, are you guys looking forward to Babylon?
I'd never heard of it until now. It sounds all right.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I'm worried it'll be, because after First Man wasn't such a big hit. I'm worried that he's just like, well, you guys fucking ate up La La Land, so let's do that again. So undated. The one that we're most excited for is, of course, Knives Out 2. This is coming to Netflix in late 2022, probably
coming to Netflix.
Similar to yeah. This is a huge thing.
Cinema release as well, I think.
We'll get it. Yeah, but the Netflix bought the rights, essentially, like made a deal for $469 million to make 2 sequels to Knives Out, and Daniel Craig, Ryan Johnson, and the other producer, Ram Bergman, I think, are all making $100 million from this deal.
Good for them, man. Like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Give me the franchise.
We got our very first look at this in the last 2 weeks, I think, when Netflix, or maybe slightly further ago than that, when Netflix released their look at all the movies that are coming out, which was actually I thought quite a cool trailer. Did you guys see that?
Yeah,
No.
so it would be like a clip from the upcoming movie, and then the actor would break the fourth wall and say a Netflix line, like a line that fit the ad.
Yeah, so some of them were clearly done on a green screen and shot into the scene, but then some of them it's like Netflix sent out a memo that was like, "Hey, you need Enola Holmes to say this on set," and so it's like the amount of fucking like forward thinking that had to go into making this and planning is actually, I thought, really impressive. It comes across as a little cheesy, but just from a logistical standpoint, I was like, that's actually pretty cool.
It's funny that of all the ones, you picked Enola Holmes to mention when we haven't even included that on our...
Yeah, because I don't give a shit about Enola Holmes.
Oh my gosh, that was so bad. That was so bad. There was the
Grey Man as well. The Ryan Gosling one is another big one.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about. Anyway, Knives Out 2. 2 things to talk about.
I'll just go over the cast. So you've got Daniel Craig returning as Benoit Blanc. Was that what you were going to say?
Yeah.
But just because I've actually got the list. Janelle Monáe, Kate Hudson, Ethan Hawke, Dave Bautista, Catherine Hahn, Madeline Klein, Edward Norton, Leslie Odom Jr., and Jessica Henwick.
Leslie Odom Jr. is such an exciting casting decision.
Yeah.
That's the most exciting one, I reckon. I think that I like what I'm excited about Knives Out 2, my favorite film of 2019. God, I couldn't shut up. I'm doing it for you, Richard. I couldn't shut up about it.
It feels like it came out 30 years ago.
I love that film, and it is built for franchisability in a good way, I think. And I remember before a sequel was even announced, I was one of the people saying, like, only keep Benoit Blanc, like new ensemble casts for each one, only keep Daniel Craig, and it looks like that's what it is. It's set in Greece, I believe, so like a completely different setting to the first
Mamma
film.
Mia. Here I go again.
I hope so.
You got Leslie Odom Jr. in it.
I'm just so excited for Knives Out 2. And the second thing I want to talk about is which Radiohead song will they name it?
Yeah. What, like... Yeah, so Ryan Johnson's confirmed it's not called Knives Out 2. He keeps on talking about, like, he talks about it as like the next Benoit Blanc mystery kind of thing. And so I think maybe it will have some kind of like a Knives Out story or a Benoit Blanc mystery.
No, it'll be a Benoit Blanc mystery, no doubt in my mind. It'll be called something, another Benoit Blanc.
Yeah, it won't be officially part of the title, but it'll be heavily featured in the advertising, so you know
Agreed.
this is a sequel to Knives Out. Yeah, we've joked about this before, but yeah, like he said that the original was called Knives Out, not named after the Radiohead song specifically. So,
Well,
yeah.
it's a great title drop in the film. So it also just means something outside of it being a Radiohead song. So I understand that, but like I don't know what you could call this one. I hope
High and
it's
Dry.
something. What's that? Is that
High
a
and
Radiohead song?
Yeah, it's a high and dry, and it's also a an expression.
Right. I hope it's not called something that is playing off Knives Out. Like I hope it's
like
not
Guns
called,
Drawn.
Yeah, I hope it's not that, because I think then you're unnecessarily putting yourself in a box for future sequels. I think they should just have cool, like original enigmatic titles. Like,
Well,
I'm so
like
jammed for this.
Burn the Witch is a cool one.
Burn the Witch is cool, yeah.
Fake Plastic Trees, Paranoid Android, Jigsaw falling into place.
It's a little long, but who knows if it'll even be Radiohead related? I'm sure it won't.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. No surprises would be fun.
That's a good title for a mystery. And I guess as well as that, I'm also excited to see, like, you know, don't forget that Knives Out is very much not really about Benoit Blanc as much as it was about some other characters. For this, don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it. And it's also like intensely a dissection of the whodunit genre. And I wonder if this will just play it straight and be a straight up mystery, or if there's a narrative pressure to do something different again. I'm so
the cast
excited.
is so exciting as well.
Yeah.
Like
Ryan
Dave
Johnson,
Bautista in a film like this, Edward Norton just getting to have fun in
Edward
a role.
Norton, man. Fuck yeah.
And Ethan Hawke, obviously.
So good.
I love.
So
is Ethan
good.
Hawke in Knives Out too?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that completely. Yes.
Yeah, so that's very exciting. You mentioned as well, Next Goal Wins. This is not currently dated for this year. It's just this film has been sitting on a shelf for a few years now, but now they're doing reshoots to finish it. So I would assume this year or next, which I said 2 years ago, I said last year as well. But yeah, it's a new Taika Waititi film. Yeah, it's about the Samoan football team.
Yeah.
And stars Armie Hammer. Oh wait, no, it stars Will Arnett. But yeah, it's interesting because it stars like David Farnay and stuff, who are like, like sort of Kiwi, the naked Samoans. And so it's just like I mean, there people like that are in and like Oscar Kitely is in it as well, and he was in
Hunt for the
Water People. These are very like Kiwi references, but it's just funny that now that the international spotlight is very much on Taika Waititi, to then see Oscar Kitely and David Farnay show up in these movies is quite funny.
Yeah.
But Michael Fassbender sort of stars as Thomas Rongen, who's tasked with turning the American Samoa national team, considered one of the weakest football teams in the world, into an elite squad. Very Ted Lasso.
Michael Fassbender. It's an interesting role for him. You know, I imagine this will be somewhat comedic and cool.
We've got Pinocchio, the Guillermo del Toro stop motion adaptation of it, starring Ewan McGregor as
Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket. There's also another Pinocchio movie coming out this year starring Pauly Shore as Pinocchio, which is viral on TikTok.
Have you seen this, Jeremy?
No.
So there's this trailer for this. It's called Pinocchio: A True Story, and it came out, and it was it's animated, and the caption with it was like, "How long can you watch this trailer till you like burst out laughing?" And it starts with Geppetto, who's voiced by Tom Kenny of SpongeBob, being like, "Are you Pinocchio? Are you my son?" And then you suddenly hear the unmistakable drone of Pauly Shore go, "But father, I don't want. When am you gonna let me be on my own?
I've got the whole world to see."
It's so unintentionally funny. You should watch the trailer. It is hilarious. But it is a rare, beautiful cataclysm of voice acting, like catastrophe. You know.
Yeah. There's also Disney Plus. We're getting a live action Pinocchio movie as well. Directed by Robert Zemeckis and stars Tom Hanks as Geppetto.
Is that coming out this year?
Yeah, apparently. Oh my
3
gosh.
Pinocchio movies coming out this year. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure the Disney one will look pretty creepy.
Honestly, like, stop, Disney. Stop doing
No,
live
stop
action
Robert
versions.
Zemeckis, please.
Yeah.
He's the problem. Do not let Disney live action and Robert Zemeckis meet in the middle, please. I'm scared for my life.
And that stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jiminy Cricket. The Pinocchio, the Guillermo del Toro's one, which we got the first look at. This is one of those things, like, I'm so excited to see Guillermo del Toro's style translate into stop motion, because I think that'll be really interesting. But yeah, that's Netflix, due on Netflix December. So that's not for a while as well. Presumably, again, to try and make it an Oscar contender. Also, in the world of stop motion animated Netflix films, we've also got Wendell and Wild coming out, which is Henry Selick's new movie. Stars there is a little trailer for this out, which stars about two scheming demon brothers, Wendell and Wild, played by Key and Peele, who must face their arch nemesis, the demon-dusting nun sister Hallie, and her two acolytes, the goth teens Kat and Raoul. It just looks like, Key and Peele always, they've got great chemistry. They'll be fun to watch together, and so yeah, that'll be fun. Henry Selick's, got a good vision. Blonde, the Ana de Armas starring Marilyn Monroe biopic.
Oh, another one.
Genuinely, the first thought I had of this was how long it's been in production for. And I was about to say it with complete sincerity before remembering that's what I'm being made fun of this episode. I'm interested in hearing Ana de Armas do it like an American accent. Is that interesting to anyone else? Like,
yeah, no, definitely.
Because, like, Marilyn Monroe, like, famously very an American icon.
Kind of, yeah, it will be interesting. It's directed by Andrew Dominique, I guess, who's I didn't realize this actually. He's a Kiwi. Well, he's Australian, but he's born in Wellington. So he directed Chopper, The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford, and Killing Them Softly. Yeah, he's sort of said, like, yeah, it's a hard NC-17, like, you don't like it, don't watch it kind of shit. It's sort of rumored that it's NC-17 because of some quite graphic, like, rape scenes and things like that, which is like, maybe, like, I'm not confident it's not going to be male gazy.
Is that really what I want to go to the movies for?
I think it's Netflix, so don't worry. You can watch it from the safety of your home
with your daughter, maybe.
Oh man.
Also on Netflix, we've got Havoc, which is a new film from Gareth Evans, who made the Raid films. Stars Tom Hardy. Just, that'll be fun, Cool. Now, Jeremy, we didn't allow you to do this, but you've just done it yourself. We marked in green our most anticipated films. You've marked this one red. This is a Judd Apatow film about trying to make a film during the COVID-19 pandemic. The cast is quite interesting. It's got Karen Gillan, Iris Apatow, obviously, because it's directed by Judd Apatow, Fred Armisen, David Duchovny, Keegan-Michael Key, Leslie Mann, Pedro Pascal, Peter Serafinowicz. And you'll be excited to learn, AJ, it also stars Maria Bakalova from Borat 2.
Oh, she's doing stuff. I was waiting for her, post-Borat thing. Cool.
Yeah, she's also going to be in a film called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
I'll check that out. I hope she's one of the bodies.
She one of the three bodies.
It also stars Pete Davidson and Lee Pace.
Oh,
Pete Davidson and Lee Pace.
What a combo!
I'm straight, but I'd love to see those bodies.
Well, that comes out next month, so you can...
Sick.
Well, it's going to be South by Southwest.
I'll masturbate to it then.
I'm so deeply uninterested in watching a movie about making a movie in the time of COVID-19.
Well, you said this last episode we did on this about, like, because there's that one that's coming out earlier that's technically set during lockdown.
The coming.
Yes, but it was not. Right, it is true. It was not about the process of filmmaking. Like, I'm like, that's fine. Use lockdown as like a creative starting point. But don't use it as like and here's what it was like for us as actors and as filmmakers. It was really hard.
Well, presumably Maria Bakalova will actually be able to offer something quite authentic to the table.
Exactly.
That's what, the only big thing she's done was Borat 2. I don't know, Jeremy. I understand why everyone's like, oh my God, please don't make art set in the pandemic. I will listen to one. I'll give it a go. I think this could be interesting. I don't know. I've got no reason to necessarily think this is going to be terrible,
Also, undated, coming to Apple TV Plus, I just found out, is
Guess I won't be watching it.
Kills of the Flower Moon, directed and produced by Martin Scorsese. And this stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, so first time bringing his two muses together. Jesse Plemons.
And this is what Jesse Plemons stopped doing Nope for.
And you've also got Brendan Fraser and John Lithgow as well in this film.
Wow.
Cool. Oh, is this the one? Yeah. So this is the one that that really touching interview Brendan Fraser did where he started crying when they talked about how much the internet loves him. This is the movie he was talking about, because he's like, I'm doing a movie with Martin Scorsese and Bob De Niro, and it's super charming and cute and sweet, and I love Brendan Fraser.
What's it about? Do we know anything about it?
Yes, we do. It's an adaptation of a book. I think. Oh yeah, a true story. Members of the Osage tribe in northeastern Oklahoma are murdered under mysterious circumstances in the 1920s, sparking a major FBI investigation involving J. Edgar Hoover, presumably Leonardo DiCaprio, not reprising that role. But I think this is the film where Leo was cast as in the Jesse Plemons role, and then said, "No, actually, I want to play the villain."
Yo, that sounds great. That sounds like such an interesting. It's giving me Wind River vibes. You know? Oh, that sounds so cool.
Yeah, so, but also in the Brendan Fraser sphere, I mentioned this film last year. Apparently it's going to come out this year. Darren Aronofsky's The Whale, about a 600-pound middle-aged man named Charlie who tries to reconnect with his 17-year-old daughter. The two grew apart after Charlie abandoned his family for his gay lover who later died. Charlie then went on to binge eat out of pain and guilt. Brendan Fraser is playing the 600-pound man Charlie, and Sadie Sink is playing his daughter.
Hell yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds
There's
so
a lot
interesting.
There's a lot going on in that life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently, Brendan Fraser said the film's already in June last year. He said the film's already finished, and his role included a lot of makeup and prosthetics. I'm interested in this. It's an A24 film. Darren Aronofsky, can be hit and miss kind of thing, but hopefully this is a hit. All right, so we've also got one that I marked as one of my most anticipated. This is a film called The Killer. This is, I believe, coming to Netflix, and it's David Fincher's new film. Stars Michael Fassbender as it's based on a graphic novel. It's about an assassin who begins to psychologically crack as he develops a conscience, even as his clients continue to demand his skills. It also stars Tilda Swinton, right up, David Fincher's alley. And Michael Fassbender should be great in it. And after the disappointment that was Mank, I'm excited to see him return to what sounds more like a Seven kind of
Finchery
vibe.
Delios.
Yeah. So,
cool.
Very excited for that.
Cool.
We've got a film I wrote down, which is called Woman Talking, which I'm not going to
watch.
It's just like this is very obviously going to be an Oscar contender due to all the talent involved. Directed by Sarah Polley, who's an actress turned director. Has made a few films. Take This Waltz was one of them. But stars Frances McDormand, Ben Whishaw, Rooney Mara, Claire Foy, Jessie Buckley, and Frances McDormand is also producing it, and so is Brad Pitt. So it's like it's very Oscar-y. So just keep in mind, Women Talking. That'll be in the Oscar.
That sounds like an amazing
year.
cast.
Yeah.
Jeremy, are you familiar with Jessie Buckley?
No.
Because you mentioned earlier, excited at hearing names like Florence Pugh as, upcoming... Jessie Buckley, she was in the most recent season of Fargo. She was in I'm Thinking of Ending Things. She was in Chernobyl.
She's in The Lost Daughter, which is the current Oscar contender.
Oh, right, yeah.
She's actually nominated for an Oscar this year. For it.
Oh, nice. She's also in a movie coming out this year called Men, which looks like this fucked up, A24... horror movie. Jessie Buckley is one to watch if you're into
awesome.
Going by you saying you're looking for the new wave of movie stars. She's so good in everything I've seen her in.
That's cool.
So,
I hadn't heard about Men, but that's Alex Garland's directing that. I didn't realize.
Yeah, Alex Garland. Yeah. So Annihilation and
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. The guy who directed that is doing Men, and the trailer for it is terrifying. You guys definitely watch the trailer for it. Looks great.
Yeah, no, that slipped by me. So also, we've got Prey, the new Predator film, which AJ you have marked down.
Yeah, I think this might be my most anticipated film of the year, if just for how much it interests me. So this is the new Predator film. It's called Prey, and it is set in frontier times and is about Native Americans escaping from the Predator. And this concept...
directed by Dan Trachtenberg, his first film since 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yep. And this concept has been the kind of building blocks of almost every film franchise. Fortnite's continue the franchise for every horror that we've done is why not set it in a different time period? Why not do it as a period piece? I think Predator is the perfect one of these horror franchises to do that with. I think Prey is a very clever title for that as well. And yeah, I think that this looks really cool. There's no trailer or anything yet, but I want to see a familiar horror icon in another time period. Yeah. And I think this looks really good. Originally
it was called Skulls at one point, but keep an eye out for that on Disney Plus later this year. And that's not a joke. It's a Hulu original film in the States, Disney Plus everywhere else. Yeah, so also you mentioned, I've just added it to the list, The Grey Man, which is Ryan Gosling. So it's directed by Anthony and Joe Russo. And written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, who are behind Captain America, Infinity War, etc. Yeah,
hey, Jeremy, are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You were stuck in a position which implied your screen had frozen.
Oh no, I just heard a movie with the word grey in the title and Anthony and Joe Russo, and I was like, yeah, sounds about right.
So it's stars Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans and Ana de Armas. Also, you've got Billy Bob Thornton's on there, Michael Gandolfini, Reggie Jean Page, who I think will be the next James Bond. It's about Court Gentry, Ryan Gosling's character, the CIA's most skilled mercenary whose true identity is known to none, accidentally uncovers dark agency secrets. Lloyd Hansen, Chris Evans' character, a psychopathic former colleague, puts his bounty on his head, setting off a global manhunt by international assassins. With a production budget of $200 million, it's the most expensive film ever made by Netflix.
Well, I mean, you would put that much stake into the directors of the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense. But
yeah. So that's it.
Oh. All right. Well, what are we crowning? What are we saying? I feel like the last
the dumbest
episode
looking
we said,
movie that coming out this year is Pinocchio, the true story.
Yeah, okay, no, fine. That sounds good. I because last time we said it was probably going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or at least that's what I said. And I don't know. I don't think I'll see Pinocchio, a true story, so absolutely I'm less inclined to crown it. But yeah, what do we reckon are our most, if you had to say one film was your most anticipated, what would you say it is?
Are we doing most anticipated?
Yeah.
I'm maybe gonna say Knives Out 2.
Jeremy?
I mean, that's the actual answer, but it would be boring if we all said the same thing. So I'm going to say there's heaps of them, actually. I'm actually really excited about a bunch that we've talked about. I can't remember any of them now. But
there's just too many to choose. I can't.
Is it The Killer, the David Fincher one with Michael Fassbender? Yeah. That gets me excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am. I think Knives Out 2 will probably be my favorite movie of the year, but Prey is the one that I'm like, hell yeah. This is, if I was given the reins to Predator, this is what I would want to do with it, So, yeah. And that is it. Let us know. Unless you guys have anything else to say, I'll address the audience now. If you can leave me alone while I address the audience, please. That is our most dumbest looking / anticipated / what's coming out in 2022 podcast duology from this year. Hope you guys all enjoyed it, and please on the Discord, if you go into the Discord, you'll be able to find a whole thread channel thing where we're talking about this. Tell us what your most anticipated film of the year. I'm sure we missed a bunch. Tell us what those are. Tell us why they're your most anticipated. Tell us why we're being too cynical about
Mario,
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Yeah, tell us why we're wrong, tell us why we're right, tell us what you're excited about, and you can do that. There is a link to the Discord in the show notes if you're not in there already, and you can also support us by liking us on Instagram and following us on Instagram and Twitter, and you can subscribe to our various YouTube channels, Cult Popture on all the places, and you can also support us on Patreon if you so choose, patreon.com/cultpopture, where if you donate $5 a month, you actually get to give us something to talk about in the post-credit scene, which will start playing as soon as this music ends. So stay tuned for that, everybody. And yeah, I'm genuinely very excited for a lot of the like lesser known films that are coming, like the ones I didn't know about till you told us about them, Richard. And I think that the I think it's looking good, and I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to find out what my most disappointed one ends up being.
Yeah, and from me, Jeremy, I'll see you guys in Netflix, in November.
All right, welcome along to the post-credits scene. This is the scene at the end of each episode where if you donate $5 or more over at Patreon, you get to give us something to talk about. And this, the post-credits scene, once again, we're joined by Jeremy for the post-credits scene. Ironic considering I'm pretty sure he is a patron on Popture, which means he can both give us a question and answer that same question. If he's
I don't give you $5. I give you the dollar.
All right, well, today's question comes to us from Joe Rundle, who says, is there a film series that you want to tell part of, either writing, directing, or just consulting?
Yeah, Predator. I want to set it in the Frontier Times.
They already did that.
No, I mean, genuinely, like, I would love to do that with, several other horror IPs. I think that would be fun. I want to be a consultant on every franchise I'm invested in, just so that I can sign off on the title. Because I'm very nervous that Knives Out 2 is not going to be given a cool title.
Yeah.
And so,
like, if you were to join the Fast and Furious, what would you call the 10th one? Because I feel like you have to come up with something that doesn't fit a pattern of any others.
Yeah,
I know exactly what I'd do.
Fast 10 your seatbelts.
Fast X Furious.
Oh yeah, nice.
That's great. That is a two-parter though. So would you do Fast X Furious Part 1 and Part 2? That is great. Fast X Furious is great. You could do Final Fury. Someone came up with like, what was it? It was like Final Fast or something like that.
Yeah.
Part 1 and 2.
And they just don't eat. They just don't eat for the whole movie.
Yeah.
I think it's very funny, the fact that they're splitting it into two parts, that if you did Fast X Furious, and so I get it because the 10th one, and then do Fast X Furious Part 2. I think that's...
Or Fast X I Furious.
Oh.
I don't know. I'd love to make an MCU movie. I'm not ashamed to admit that.
Which one would you do?
I don't know.
I like how you went right for the big job. We're like, I'll be a consultant for titles.
I mean, go for the big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Avatar. I want to direct Avatar.
Just so you can delay it further.